agree, this is sort of the age-old matchup of the new versus the old, right? Where Square One kind of really emphasizes what it's like to be path to pro. Envy, they've been on the path for a long time, and you know, there's a lot of players on Envy where you're like, okay, they're close to taking the next step. With Square One, it's more of a wild card. I'm gonna be curious to see what comes out here. You look at both teams, 3-3.
Right now, Square One moving out onto the first mid, 3-3. Watch these Zarya bubbles are so important for the early matchup. We see Square One using that Zarya bubble very early. So much damage on Fisher.
Oh, Fisher immediately erased, and this is Square One's plan. It's pretty good, not just starting Reinhardt, but going for the guy that does not normally play a lot of Reinhardt. It's smart. It gives the advantage to Envy here. It's going to lead to them getting the first cap and all like.
Right now, Evie not able to contest this without Fisher. Also, Ellivo getting demeched, just pushing from there. Envy going to be regrouping, getting ready for the next fight. Square One has pretty solid first fight and ahead in the open.
Moving back over again, Fisher. Yeah, hard to capture
into the iris. Into the iris.
So Envy, they're holding off in the grab, and off the grab, it's gonna be Fisher picking up 2.
Great late grab from Sharp. You can see Sharp gets the grab up after Ultraviolet trades Trance with Crimzo, allowing him to just do it staggered. Most of the Trance is over for Square One, and then Fisher was able to swing, pick up those frags. Jolf does drop the Shadow trying to prevent that, but not a lot of value.
Not quite. Square One still in a good spot, 44% to start things off here. Envy trying to climb their way back into it.
Envy now holding this mid. They are a little bit down in the time bank, but not a significant margin, and Crimzo already 75% to another Trance.
Fisher being pretty aggro here, holding on to the Shadow. Meanwhile, Dove off on the left side, Graviton ready. Heavy poke damage on the Envy. Envy's going to retreat. They're going to give themselves some time to heal back up, but in exchange, Square One going to be getting more positioning here. Moving forward onto a point. Shatter coming down from Fisher and not really getting the results he wants. Instead, going to be caught in a grab. Self-destruct coming out from Elevote here, trying to buy a little bit of time, but no, not going to do much. As Sharp gets blown up on the other side.
And that Shadow from Jolf should be game-changing and put Fisher on the ground, allowing the focus fire for Square One. It's going to be clean up now. Ultraviolet's Trance is actually forced extremely late, despite Square One already be up 2 players having that point control. So that was maybe a little bit of a misplay, but still it's going to be the flip for Square One.
And that's one of those misplays that can come back to haunt you a little bit. But I think the thing that is still okay for Square One is that Envy's really drained. So Ultraviolet will have time to build back up.
Ultraviolet will have that time, and Trance is sort of a cheap ult. You never want to use it, you want to have it always when possible. You don't want to pop it without reason. But as long as your Xin is a very capable player, you actually will be building Transcendence very quickly. As Fisher takes an incredible amount of poke damage entering the point.
And this is something where Fisher is just going to be eating more damage, where there's danger zones that he might not be resulting with. But Square One diving in really aggressively here. Jolf holding on to the Shatter, gets poked down, not going to get a chance to use it. Jaru right there at the focus fire, and Envy just able to work their way back in. And you want to talk about losing Transcendence and being a big deal? Well, they could have used it there for Square One.
That was actually a great counter engage for Envy. You see Jolf lead for Square One, trying to catch Sharp. That was a little bit split from the team, but the rally was up for Jaru along with Fisher Shatter, put Square One on the ground, and then they just push from there.
85% for Square One, 63% for Envy. Envy looking for a hold here. Square One comes up on the high ground, and Jolf just going to drop on down. Maybe looking for their Shadow again, drop it, and oh, immediately Crimzo transcending before he can be knocked down. Envy still A-okay right after. Sharp lays in the grab, and Envy going to take the fight.
Really good hold here for Envy, only having to utilize the Trance and the grab. They also get the beat out of Angelic. Well, Angelic actually used that beat in the previous fight. So now, Square One not working with a ton of time. Having to swap the Hammond, actually. Jolf going to the Hammond to look to contest this point here. That grab bomb combo is up for Square One.
Why go to the emergency Hammond here? Just to get to the point?
Just to ensure you can touch, because the time is extremely close.
Well, we'll see if it's going to be enough. Square One moving in. Graviton being invested here by Dove, but where is the fall through? Not quite going to be there. Envy still in a good spot. Fire and Crimzo a bit away from support ults here. Elevote holding on to self-destruct. Fisher going to fall, so the self-destruct, one of the best options for Envy to pull this fight back, but maybe you let this go and run back in, but the time is going to be very tight. And no, they're going to invest the self-destruct. it gets Jolf, but Envy's just lost too many people here.
They have, but Jaru pops the late rally. They're still going to be able to sustain on the back. Sharp drops another grab, but how is this cleanup going to be for Envy? There's so much health for Square One. Jaru, he's so aggressive, he has Fire's beat. He needs to get any frags.
Oh, nice. Bobble going to the big all just at the last second there. Square One dealing with this pressure from Envy quite well. Scrimzo coming in late with Transcendence, but again, they've lost so many people. How can they capitalize on it?
It's definitely over now. It's just cleanup. Jolf pushing Crimzo away. It's just delay for Envy, but that late beat from Angelic sets the pace, ensures that it will only be stagger kills now for Square One. They own the point firmly.
And Envy, a team that is coming in with a lot of hype here, running into a brick wall of Square One. They're still doing really reasonable delay. Graviton going to be coming out on the other side from Dove, but all in all, very unlikely Envy's able to bring this back without some sort of huge misplay from Square One, and yet...
Especially if they don't touch the point.
Yeah. That was still a pretty decent delay from Envy at the end.
It was, but some poor focus fire from Square One. That was really poor focus fire. I was seeing they were very split. They weren't seeing which targets they're actually shooting at, but that was the early picks for Square One, along with those bunny hop support ults, the staggered support ults, which really just let them sustain in the fight longer. Square One picking up that first round here on Koth. Now moving into the second, and it's already clear. We can just see just from the first round already that, you know, Fisher he's not looking the worst. He's looking solid. Like, you know, he's not going out, he's just not feeding, but he is not looking extremely comfortable on main tank.
I mean, really, you're seeing what you would expect from an otherwise good player that doesn't play main tank, getting forced on the main tank. You know all the general things Reinhardt's supposed to do. You don't have the experience to avoid some of the pitfalls that are almost unavoidable without actually playing it for a long period of time.
Elevote running out on this Mei, so no Diva for Envy, trying to use that Mei wall to isolate targets. Good damage on a Square One, but no follow-up just yet.
Really heavy damage on the hot take. They're going to get the DMAC immediately. That was great focus fire coming from Envy, but Fisher gets isolated a little bit too far up, and now what are you dealing with? You don't have Orion anymore to help seal the deal. Jaru tries to go aggressive to compensate, ends up giving his life, and even with the trade-outs here, Square One with just way more meat on the point.
And that is just really the consequence of Jolf staying alive, not having that Ryan. You can see Fisher went extremely aggressive, trying to follow up the damage that had been put into Square One off the DMAC of Hot Date, but a little bit too aggressive. Didn't have the value needed, didn't have that Matrix, remember, so you can't eat all that damage that's coming his way. So then they can play the Jolf shield, clean up Square One.
And now we do look at Jolf on the next fight. Earthshatter going to be up rather early here, and it's about, can you set this up well? Envy on the main, going to try and go for a split up here. It's not really the most effective wall. Jolf by himself booped off to the side, going to drop the hammer, and just use it for Jaru. That's still a good shatter. You've gotten the Brigitte out of the fight, and now the rest is going to fall in place for Square One, potentially. They still lose two. Envy deciding we want to go for this, but they go for that after losing Sharp. The Transcendence not enough to save them.
Now Sharp just not getting caught with that Transcendence healing. They don't have the damage for Envy. Envy going to be losing that fight. Square One continuing to hold this point here. Ultraviolet. Transcendence is up. Angelic coming close to the beat. Envy, they have, remember, they don't have a combo here. They have Blizzard, but no Diva Bomb, which means you will not be able to kill very effectively through that Transcendence healing.
I mean, their best way of killing right now is Fisher, point blank, and Sharp, highly charged up, but not as effective as other combos you could have. Fisher, again, moving forward, heavy focus fire onto him, immediately shifts over to Jaru. Envy, their front line just getting decimated as soon as they step forward.
Envy needs to get a support out of Square One here so they can set up a Blizzard using one or the other, the grab or the Blizz. There's the grab out.
Well, the Graviton's coming out here. Elevote holding on to the Blizzard, hasn't dropped it now. Gonna drop it a little bit later. Gonna get answered by the barrier, and Square One mostly able to get out of the free zone. Not Big All though. And he's still safe.
Goodness.
Jolf gonna go down mid-fight. Envy investing just about everything here, layering support ults for good measure. And sure, this might get him the fight, but man, what a heavy price.
I know Elevote is kicking himself right there. He has the freeze onto Big Ol. He's able to clean up the frag in the end, but he had to reload. You could see he was going for the headshots on that frozen Big Ol and had to reload, so he could not finish him early. And Envy had to commit so many resources, like you said, layering those support ults now to finish it.
It's a very tough spot for Envy, who's about to fall here, the Square One, where, again, not the most ideal situation for Envy. Fisher in on main tank, but still a good showing for Square One here so far.
The real question is, how does Square One enter this point effectively? They all get in. The Mei wall is not good.
Yeah, the wall is a little bit late. Elevote might be playing from EU still, so that might explain a little bit going on. but Envy gonna be here on the point. A fight they must win. Fisher driving the Shatter early, but puts him in a bad spot. Doesn't get really what he's looking for, but he's able to get healed up just in the nick of time. Fisher's still in there. Transcendent's gonna come in. Fisher's aggressiveness starting to pay off a little bit here as Envy ends up getting the better of this fight so far, and Fisher could be chasing down Big All for good measure.
That was extremely close with Jolf dropping that counter shatter after Fisher's was blocked. Several members of Envy were down, but like you saw, the grab was out for Sharp. Fisher committed to swinging despite being so low, and Crimzo's Transcendence really saved the day there by keeping Fisher up, allowing him to continue to swing and build another shatter. However, they had to trade the transfer that, and Dove is coming close to a grab.
Envy at 55% right now. They're gonna need about 2 more good fights. Fisher, you just see him here. He's just ready. He's like, I can drop a shatter. The Maywall comes in again. It's too late. The value from the Maywall's not there, and Elbow just dies, gets picked off.
But the great shatter from Fisher. That's such a good shatter. He needs to clean up the damage right now.
And he does just that. Fisher's aggressiveness, perhaps catching Square One a bit off guard. I'm not even sure Fisher knows what he's doing to a degree, as Jaru is going to clean up the scraps at the very end.
That was huge. That was absolutely huge. Elbow going down so early there, you thought that would have been it. You see that the Big All very close to that rally, but the shatter from Fisher allowing the cleanup. And now Envy are in a great spot. They just need support because remember, Dove, they have the combo. There is the grab.
Final fight territory. All Elbow needs to do is do something that he hasn't been able to do so far. Land a good wall. No, it's too early. He's not able to split them off. But the upside, he still has the Blizzard here for the fight. Graviton gonna come in earlier for Square One. Layered with the sound barrier, and the Blizzard's eaten! The Blizzard is eaten! Hot Date just right in there. Deals with the Blizzard right away. Self-destruct, moving up here from Hot Date. Looking for anything, not gonna connect.
Crimzo dead!
On the other side, Crimzo out of the fight. Jolt though down as well. Envy fighting it back. Sharp all charged up, went around the left-hand side. And this is looking really good for Envy, who might have just fought their way to a round 3.
Especially with that freeze, just ensuring that Dove could not get a lot of energy, can't get value for another grab. This is clean up. Crimzo, he'll be coming back soon enough with the trance. This should be Envy picking up this fight.
The funny thing too here as Envy is in the process of cleanup is watching a normally DPS player play a Ryan short notice is actually really entertaining because Fisher is getting away with some plays that I don't think Square One is really expecting because Reinhardt's kind of have it be an Adam not to be too crazy. Fisher is living on that line where he's being so aggro that sometimes he just dies early, right? He just gets focus fired and he's gone. But then there's times where he gets a whole lot of value just swinging around on Reinhardt, so it's really feast or famine for him right now.
You have to, I mean, it is a trade-off that all Ryans have to make. It's like, am I going for more damage? Am I creating that space? Or am I valuing myself as a tank player, as that shield character, stopping damage for the rest of my team? And also what was really interesting in that grab fight was when Dove drops the grab, they try to use Elivo's May. They try to use the Blizzard to actually negate the grab, keep Fire's beat as long as possible, which allowed them to sustain through the bomb for Hot Date.
Interesting. And now, going to be moving into last stage here on Lijiang. It's going to be the Garden, and oh!
Jump off the map!
All right, unintended. Unintended from Square One.
No, rolling through the 90s back to spawn is what Jolf just did.
Jolf shamefully goes back to Reinhardt and goes, you know, maybe this isn't my hero. Maybe I don't want to do this. And Big All going to be getting off the Pharah here. That's right. Goats back in play.
Yeah, this is going to be the 3-3 coming back, but I'm sure Jolf is not too happy about that, and they give up first cap to Envy because of Jolf going off the map.
And Envy just has like question marks above their heads going, what just happened there? It's like, all right, well, we'll take it. Fair point.
Love to hear the team comms on that one. Square One reach for the point.
Laughter.
Looking for that damage. Good poke damage early on the Dove. Envy just trying to play closer to this white room, actually, giving up a lot of space.
Fisher under a little bit of pressure, gonna get healed up by the armor pack. Envy just kind of daring Square One, saying, you guys gotta move over to us. Now they're looking to isolate Joel.
No bubble, Joel.
And Fisher's going in even deeper. Crimzo down, and Fisher decides to back up a bit. So they're down 1, now down Fisher, and Square One just picking them apart piece by piece.
That was an incredibly good charge for Jolf, managing to get that value. They had even used the bubble early. Dove dropped the bubble very early on the Jolf for the energy. Should have been punished coming out for Envy onto Jolf, but allows the charge, gets Crimzo, and they don't clean him up in time. And now Square One flipping the point. They are going to be close to a lot of ults here. They're actually ahead of Envy.
Now, Square One has fought their way back into a good spot despite the absolutely awful beginning with the Hammond falling into the pit. So bravo to Square One, just mentally keeping themselves in it.
And now Square One, they won't have the combo yet, but they will have grab. They will have shatter. Rally traded for both sides. There's shatter out. Hot Date picking up Fisher.
Fisher just immediately erased. Again, a little bit far forward, taken down early. Envy, they're committed here at the rally. They're going to move in, but I don't think they should use a whole lot more here.
No,
let it go. Sharp doesn't grab. You've been stuck in a grab yourself. Just let it go.
That was actually probably a misplay for Dove for Square One, dropping the grab after they already have the pick onto Fissure. They can play slow. They could just win the slow game there since they do have Jolf up, but they decide to invest the grab, and now Square One, they don't have that combo moving into the next fight.
And this next fight, it's all Envy. Envy should win this. If they don't, it's a disaster.
It is. They have their combo. They have both support ults coming up.
Oh, did he get him? Did he get him? He did! Sharp's
Bye-bye,
off
Sharp.
the ledge. Angelic. What a play.
Great read.
Derailing Envy. Envy needed that fight, and it just taken away. The only upside for Envy is that they didn't get a chance to throw any ults into it, but Square One is going to be able to fight them on more even grounds as we go into the next fight.
And that mechanical ability, that playmaking ability for movement for Lucio is extremely important, always, but especially in the 3-3 setup because your boops are so strong. Such a great just space-making ability, just peel ability there, and recognizing Sharp was going from bridge there. Angelic opening it up.
So we're setting up once more. Envy setting up in the white room. Square One a little bit further back. Square gonna open up here at the grab. Elevo throwing in the self-destruct. The Earth Shatter coming back in the other way from Joel. Buying time. Envy, their health going down. Transcendence coming from Crimzo. Not in time.
Figure getting three.
Joel got taken down by the self-destruct. It didn't even matter about the Transcendence. But Fire counter equalizes. Puts Dove into the pit. 5-on-5. Envy coming back in. The charge gonna connect. Fissure bringing it back here towards the end. Envy not out yet.
Jolt's Shatter preventing a lot of the cleanup for that bomb combo for Envy, but in return, Fissure Shatter keeps all of Square One on the ground. They could not follow up all the damage they had put into Envy there. So now both Rhines making huge plays. Envy flipping the point, and they're really solid on their ult advantage right now.
Of course, they are going to have to win about 2 to even 3 fights in a row, depending on how long they go. Square One, they have time.
Square One moving from this flank. It looks like they might be trying to actually go bridge, or it's the fake. They tried to fake out Envy, but Envy, you have a lot of room to move, so plenty of chances to intercept.
The problem is Jolf and Hot there just getting heavily focused. Jolf throws down a Shatter in response, and Envy doesn't really
Look at this trans advantage for Crimzo, by the way, ZP. If Envy wants to, they can commit. As Jolfy drops the shield, trying to swing and dies.
Drops the shield and gets a blast of sound right to the ears. Nothing really pleasant there. As now Square One back to the drawing board, and I said 2 to 3 fights, they're down to 1.
They are. This is last fight. Dove still does not have grab, and even when he gets it, there's no combo up. Hot Take only 35% to the bomb. Envy, they have all the tools necessary to hold here.
Jolf moving forward 10%, not gonna have a Shatter up anytime soon. Envy stocked to the gills, and I don't mean Carpe. This is really good for Envy right now. It's just a matter of execution. We're getting into it. Grab gonna connect here first from Square One. Counter grab in from Sharp. Elevo gonna drop the self-destruct right to the back line. What's gonna get? Absolutely nothing. Square One still in it.
Good challenge,
Finally coming
Fissure.
up here. Fissure though drops the hammer. No one has fallen for Square One, but finally they isolate Joel. Man advantage now to Envy, and Envy still very healthy, but Fissure gonna fall, but not before Dove falls on the other side. It's Envy winning the poke battle here. Still a man advantage, and they're looking to Fire. If Fire can get the barrier up here, that's gonna seal it even as they finish out Big All.
With Sharp staying alive here, though, that should be the cleanup for Envy. Sharp just surviving so long, that energy, that high DPS Zarya, just staying alive, doing so much on the point. We see Sharp here just doing so much for Envy. So well played to Sharp, well played to the rest of Envy. And that was really, Fissure actually looked a lot stronger on Control. He looked very strong on the later half of that series on Control. Well played to him, good shatters out. And what was really interesting from Envy there on that last fight was they recognized that there was no bomb up for Hot Date, so they only popped Jaru's rally to stay alive in the grab of the initial fight, and then tranced later, then committed their ults later.
Yeah, it's knowing what the other team has and just taking mental note of it, not relying on your muscle memory and be like, oh, this happens, so now I'll press this. No, think critically. You are in an ult economy-focused game. And again, credit to Fissure here, where I don't think anyone should be judging him too harshly one way or another here, where obviously he's filling in. But I will say this, to a degree, there is an advantage of putting someone on Reinhardt that's not normally on it, because even though there's going to be mistakes where he goes too far forward and gets blown up, it's also kind of this terrible thing on the other end for where they're just like, we don't know what this guy's capable of. He's just going in at times we're not really expecting, and that's why you saw moments where Fissure would just pick up 2, 3 kills at a time, because he's playing Ryan in a style that, frankly, a normal, seasoned Ryan player wouldn't. And again, it does carry a few upsides.
Yeah, it's that quote that Massa put out for Atlanta, where they said if they don't know what we're doing, then there's no way they can predict us. If we don't know what we're doing, we just go in and we just frag. And that's sort of what we saw Fissure there. I think Fissure actually was using that aggression very well at times. I mean, it's clear he doesn't know how to manage his health and his barrier as well as a actual main tank player, but he was making sure to be hyper aggressive, and the strategy was focused around Fisher's aggression a lot of the times. They also were great at recognizing when to commit support ults. When Square One puts that grab out there, if they don't have that combo, they know how to stagger their support ults, bunny hop them so they can get extra value, extra sustain in the fight. So Envy looking a little bit weak in the beginning, but coming out, finishing out the control, looking much stronger at the end.
You know who actually Fisher reminded me a little bit of there, where you mentioned we had the support his aggression, we had to go all in with them, and then watch as Orion picks up all the kills? It's a good friend of yours, former colleague. That's right. Talking about Super, back in the LG Evil days.
That's an old meta, and this is, I mean, in the 3-3, I mean, it's even more, if we're going to make more realistic comparisons, because I think Super now, for Shock, is actually a more mid-lane tank in terms of aggression. He's not necessarily super aggressive right now.
I'm not talking about, like, battle-hardened Super. I'm talking about vintage
Super.
That's right.
Vintage Super. Well, we're going to move in here as we drop a simultaneous well. We were mind-melded there, ZP.
It is. It's just double well. That's what happens when you cast 2 regions of Contenders in one day.
That's true.
You just start, you know what? I'm not even good.
We're like the blue people from Avatar.
There you go.
We interlink.
We don't even have a like spirit tree anywhere nearby, to the best of our knowledge.
Is that what it was called? Was it called Spirit Tree?
I have no idea. It was
what
like
was the lore? Honestly, I'm not sure what the impact of Avatar was culturally upon myself.
The impact of Avatar was betray your race for really just not great reasons.
For unobtainium.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's literally what it was called. Was unobtainium.
Yeah, it's just the classic metal. Also in the movie The Core. Not a good movie.
Well,
but
now we know.
We're getting into it here. It's going to be Square One on the defense first. And one interesting wrinkle here. It is a 3-3, but they're coming out with Ultraviolet on the Ana. Why do you think that is?
Both teams actually looking like they're running the Ana. Ana here is someone, well, as you see right there, early nade catching 4. Rolling back to spawn potentially. I think they're just going to be making a full swap. Crimson will probably be going Xin because Xin, much better in the matchup for 3-3 than against that Ana, because the longer the fight runs, the more value Xin gets. Because Transcendence, a great ability, Discord Orb just so strong for the focus fire. While Ana, they want to get that nano boost up extremely early, set up the anti-nades in the grabs.
And I mean, the problem is it puts so much pressure on Ultraviolet here, where he's going to have to land good Bionade after good Bionade. Now Envy's moving in. Where's Nade? Jolt's already down before you can look at that. Ultraviolet gets caught, and Envy, they just roll in. They just actually steamroll Square One with a very, very quick engage.
And that was extremely smart from Envy, because when you're running D.Va versus the Ana, your heals get eaten, and Zin's do not.
Yeah.
So they made sure to use Elivote to block a lot of the healing onto Jolf, using that Matrix, aggressing onto him, using that Discord Orb to focus fire, and Ana cannot save him through all that pressure.
So Square One, they've had enough with Ana. They've put her back out to pasture, and they've brought out Zen.
They have. I mean, Xin, objectively, just the better support hero right now.
It's another case of a robot taking a human job.
It is. That is, wow, automation. Automation right here.
There's a real just dreary story about automation buried in Overwatch lore in so many ways. But take a look at that. Angelic just climbing up to the corner, going to get a little bit of attention from Elevote as Envy moves forward. Aggressive Transcendence coming in. They find Jolf immediately. They just isolate him with the healing all around him. And now it's clean up from here on out.
Oh my goodness. I thought I heard a grab. My ears deceived me. Thank goodness.
I thought I did. Like, there are some times when Kaz, I feel like Zaryas have grabbed and they haven't, and I'm not sure if it's because
I was really worried that Dove just dropped a grab there after.
Yeah, it
was already down 2, but he did not. So good read from Dove as well, because they're going to have the grab. They're coming up on combo, and Crimzo used that early trance. So they have a win condition. Square One has a win condition moving into this next fight, the recontest second.
The problem is that Envy, though, is still really stocked, especially if Fire can get a barrier up before this fight. And again, Fisher's the wild card. You don't know what he's going to do right now, aside from look for an aggressive shatter. Rally, going to be used. Fisher moving
shield
forward.
Presence so much onto Jolf.
Yeah, Jolf isn't going to be able to hold the shield up for much longer, but neither is Fisher. It's going to come down to the wire. Graviton used. Hot Date going to invest in self-destruct. Shop already down. What's it going to get? Takes down Fisher. Fight. Going to be going over to Square One.
Square One having to invest a lot, but making sure they win the fight. They're also going to be staggering Elevote here. That was the shield, the counter shield presence onto Fisher. Fisher gets grabbed. There's Elevote.
That was bad. That was brutal.
It was a pretty long stagger, but that was a good fight for Square One by ensuring that Fisher did not have shield. They're able to drop the shatter. Jolf drops that. Bomb gets value there in streets, and a good place to hold because you're at the end of that street fight. So a long walk back for Envy, and Fire managed to retain his barrier on top of that. So going to be almost equalizing those support ults.
Square One going to be holding back here. Envy We'll see what they do in the approach. It's a pretty nice engage immediately. Trying to isolate Fisher, but it's met by the barrier. Fisher gonna drop the shadow zone. Here comes self-destruct for Envy. Elvote looking for it. Not gonna get a whole lot, but they don't need the self-destruct. The rest of it, it's just more than enough for the grab.
Fisher's shadow there was extremely important by ensuring that Ultraviolet could not trance.
Yeah.
Ultraviolet was not able to trance in that fight. Angelic had dropped the beat very early, looking for the engage, which was countered by fire. So now Envy picking up that fight, taking second, and still lots of time for last, 4.5 minutes.
4.5 minutes is a time you can feel proud of here on Kings Row because it means you can get some of the quicker takes in the game where if you can finish off Kings Row with over 2 minutes, you're feeling good.
You are. Envy now looking for this next fight. Ultraviolet having the trance, Crimzo as well. We're likely to see both popped in this fight.
Fisher's so low, he went so aggro and just got deleted. Joel kind of doing much of the same. Elvote looking to put pressure on him, but again, not quite enough. And Envy's just going to be like, all right, we're going to back out and wait for our Diva and Reinhardt.
Look at this D-Mac onto
Elvote
Elvote as well. We can see the stagger coming out. He's
Well,
going to be walking to the pit. Envy.
Oh.
Losing Fisher. Elvote late. That's a late stagger kill. Ultraviolet, another trance still, or not another, but still holding that trance. Dove, 80% to grab, a little bit ahead of Sharp here. So Square One are looking to set up their combo first.
And more importantly for Square One, they are buying some crucial time here, where Envy's still saying a good time, but at least have put it away from just the catastrophic speed run zone.
They have. They're no longer Kings Row done quick. Back here, equalize those times. Rallies for both teams. We steal a shield presence. Jolf has that shatter for those as Fisher. See the Ryan games, nothing comes of Jolf's.
No, not quite. Meanwhile, for Envy, Fisher,
Oh!
that's a huge, gonna get just about everyone in it. And that is what you're looking for in Orion, where I try to avoid saying huge for shatters.
That was pretty huge.
That was huge.
That was a 5-man.
Huge is a meme. That wasn't a meme. That was the real huge.
That was quite large. And now, Envy moving forward. Both rallies and shatters traded during that fight, but Square One, they have their combo. However, both teams combo trade, looking to come here.
Envy now in a really good spot. Dove, though, gonna drop the grab. Here comes Hot Date. Self-destruct over the top. What are you gonna get? What's it gonna find? It gets Sharp. Even that one pickoff could be enough here for Square One.
That is.
And now Fisher just
It's
falling.
over.
It's definitely enough.
Fisher was caught there. I mean, there was no bubble since Sharp had died to get him out, so he decided to YOLO charge, try to get out of there.
Goodbye.
Gonna be Jaru going off the map. So Square One getting the engage first, so important in the 3-3 matchup when combos, when that Diva Bomb, that Graviton on both teams, whoever is able to get the better grab first, able to set it up the combo first, has a much better engage, a much better fight. But Envy have managed to retain theirs now, moving into this next fight.
Envy going to be going straight down the middle. Sharp looking for a grab early. Elvote ready for the combo to go along with it. Square One going for the aggressive setup, but the aggressive setup right into the grab. Self-destruct from Elvote right over the top. What's he gonna get? It gets 2. More than enough for Envy here. It's a combo they're looking for. It's Square One. At best, they get a little bit of delay, but Envy's gonna be rolling right back to. They have someone pushing right now. Someone's already on the payload.
Yes, they do. And on top of that, Crimzo and Fire both have support ults. Square One dropping both in that fight. It's now just a stagger fight. Square One, they have no ults, only Big Ol. There's the shatter out. It's just going to be the beat from Fire and cleanup for now for Envy. There's no way, no possible way Square One can win.
No, not in this situation. Not without a whole bunch of people voluntarily sacrificing themselves to the lava gods underneath Kings Row, which, by the way, not a great move. Envy just going to get the last few pickoffs here, and they've gone from the potential of a super fast time to still a comfortable time. A minute 30 is not blazingly fast, but it's still pretty good.
You have plenty of wiggle room
Yeah.
with that sort of time. You do have that wiggle room now. Moving on to the offense here for Square One, who had a really rough first and second defense, but a strong third. Pretty strong third.
One thing that is going to be worth noting for victory conditions, and it's always worth stating here on a hybrid map, is that because Envy had over a minute, and by over a minute I mean just a minute and 1 second is enough, it means for Square One that finishing in overtime is not enough. If they get to the point where they're finishing in overtime, we're not going to be getting hyped that they're about to finish because they have no, like at that point, the best they could do is a draw, but it'd be very likely for Envy to just roll over point A. So Square One is on a more strict time limit here as they look to start their attack.
They are. They have the sort of feel the ropes closing in on them. They're back against the ropes in terms of like we know what we have to at least equal potentially, or at least get above OT, get over a minute if possible. Envy on the defense. I doubt that Jaru will be playing this Ana, but it is possible. We've seen the triple support come out, especially if you're expecting Sombra on offense, because there's no Diva then for the attacking team. But Square One looking to run a pretty standard 3-3.
Not too surprising, and also, I mean, I like what we're seeing from Envy here. I'm not really a big fan of when teams bring out a Sombra on First Point Kings Row, where I've fished for explanations, and I know one coach is telling me is that, well, even if it's bad on point A, we do it so we can have EMPs on point B. I'm just like, is this really the logic? I'm not entirely sold. Not sold.
Dove gonna be playing that Sombra, so Envy's read was actually correct. They're deciding to run the Ana, hoping they're gonna get value because with no Diva for Square One, they can't eat the heals, they can't eat the nades, the sleeps, and they have an incredible amount of frontline sustain, even more than with Brigitte because of all this extra Ana healing.
It means that Jaro's going to be someone really important to watch here for how he gets nades, where this is where an Ana can feel like a superstar in this type of setup. Early hack going to be going on the Elevote. Fisher just going to back up. A lot of shield pressure, though. That's about to get cracked, and they're just putting all pressure on the Fisher, but meanwhile, they're not protecting Joel. Sharp, able to melt him on down. Envy, while a little bit wounded, going to be healing up, but they have to get back to the point. They're about to give up a tick for free. Sharp already down, and Envy, they do rotate back over. Fisher's shield still pretty low. He's going to go on a little bit of a goose chase there, looking to isolate the back line. But now, Envy, they still need to stand the point. One tick has been given up.
That is going to be one tick. Jaru, though, he has the Nano dub, only 50% to the EMP. Nano's out onto Fisher. There should be a cleanup. They need to get Joel. Joel does not get taken down.
Fisher's just like, I'm invincible. No, you're not. So much focus fire going on the Fisher there. Still eradicates some Nano boost. Not changing a thing in Square One. Just getting attrition in their favor towards the very end.
And now, most importantly for Square One, not only did they were able to pick up first, get the Nano out of Envy, but they're going to have EMP very soon for second. They're going to have EMP. They're going to have Grav. A lot of this fight is going to rest on Crimzo because if Crimzo is able to get Trance out, then Square One might not be able to clean up because there is no Diva Bomb. There's nothing to burst damage through a Trance.
So Square One working with the momentum. How does Envy reverse this momentum?
I mean, Envy just have to, they either have to go take an early fight, get ults out of Square One, or weather the storm and commit some of their own, mainly just the Trance. Realistically, I would think it would be better to just save the Trance, take the early fight.
Well, early grab is going to be used here from Square One. We'll see if the fall through is going to be there. Not quite. Envy going to be shielding off the damage from Transcendence, but it does mean there's a grab for Trance to trade. EMP coming in, see if the Shatter and Fisher nowhere to go, just immediately deleted. Square One flexing their ultimate power here, and they take the fight as they should.
And that was the risk that Team Envy had, was if you commit the Trance early to only the grab, then the EMP comes out later, which is exactly what happened. Dove drops the EMP after the Trance, sets up the Shadow for Jolf. But because of that, no big fight-winning ults for Square One, and Envy are coming back with the beat, with the grab, with the combo of their own. So they have plenty of time to recontest and have ults to win the fight.
This is still smart from Square One. They're not taking the Sombra. They're not going, well, we're still here. We might as well stay on it. They go for the full swap now.
They do, but also the problem with making this swap now is that you won't be building they were 30% on the EMP already. They could have won the resulting fight, and now they have to take a longer fight even if they don't win this.
Well, Sharp was looking for the grab, ends up getting stunned while he looks for it. Has to drop the grab under pressure. Elevote drops self-destruct right after. What's going to get? Gets Angelic. Still totally fine for Envy, but Sharp was very, very close to getting denied there.
Very close. But now this is where the Square One swap starts to hurt them a little bit because, like we talked about, Dove was 35% on EMP when he swapped to the Zarya. He has 20% to grab already, but Crimzo has the Trance, Jaru has the Nano, and while they had stayed on that Sombra, they might have been close to 70-80% EMP already, which would have been a fight winner for this upcoming fight. All they had to do is negate the Trance because they would have beat. So Square One trading off some of that potential fight winning, getting off some of that snowball effect of Sombra, instead of moving to the more standard.
Key here for Square One, they need to check the corners. They need to look to the right-hand side.
Surely they won't catch it. They won't catch it.
Okay,
They're too far away.
Okay, Fisher's not stealthy enough. When you see the shield poking out, it's kind of done. But also they know they're coming up from the top. So that entire stealth plan.
Fire looking for this boop here, trying to get them down. He does. He gets 3 off the top.
And Fisher, meanwhile, just laying into Joel. Hammer swing after hammer swing, biding his time. Now the Nano boost is in, drops the hammer, and they're just looking for Hot Date here, putting the damage onto him in the back line. But
Hot
Fisher,
Date
you got to turn around. You have to turn around and hit him, but it's okay. He's going to get DMAC towards the end. But there's the shadow on the other side. Joel knocks down 5, but the fall through not there. Square One couldn't turn the corner the way they wanted to. Envy still very much in the fight. Fisher moving back the other way. A lot of focus fire on the Fisher. Going to be taken down. Square One moving forward, and it's heavy pressure now, and that should be enough for them to get point B.
Yeah, that was looking like a really good early fight for Envy, but a huge 5-man shatter from Jolf. The rally just cleaned up from Big Ol. And now Jaru needs to make this swap. He does. The Ana wasn't getting a lot of value while Hot Date was on the field, though he was killed a little bit early in the fight. Making the swap to the mirror here. And the combo is up for Envy now.
Envy still with plenty of tools to delay this out, but Square One could still set a quicker time.
They could. I mean, they're close to the combo of their own after cleaning up that shatter. That's one of the benefits of shatters. You farm so much ult from the engagement, and they have a Trance.
Sharp holding on here to the grab. He is the difference maker here. Grab gonna come in early. Eleva, where you at? Self-destruct right down Broad Street, straight to the back. Transcendence out, and not enough damage from the self-destruct again. Instant kill. The Transcendence immediately healing up the damage that was done. Fire down, Jolf in. Fisher though, counter shatter. But is fall through going to be there? There's a Transcendence out from Envy, but they've lost so many people again.
This is a terrible fight for Envy.
Yeah,
this is a terrible fight for Envy. They commit the Trance, they commit the Shatter, and now they've only staggered themselves. Sure, they bought a minute off the clock, but they don't have those ultra recontests. Everything is on fire and on Jaru to ensure that he gets the rally here.
This is really against Envy, and you have to look to Jolf. He can put the dagger in their hearts right now. And we look to Jolf. Right now looking for Fisher. The bubble's gone. Yeah, the bubble's gone. No one can save Fisher here. And Jolf drops the shatter. Doesn't get as much as you'd like, but gets Jaru. That's enough. That's more than enough. And now they're going to invest the barrier. They're up 3-4. Put a fork in Envy because they're done on this defense.
They are definitely done. It's over for them. Jaru, even if there's a one-person shatter for Jolf, ensuring that Jaru was not able to live, so getting the pick and also denying the rally was really huge there. So Envy committed too many resources. If they had had a trance for that fight, it would have been really good if they would have had a trance.
Yeah.
But they don't.
They just used too much a fight before, and now this is a very interesting setup where we have not something you see a whole lot, but it is a classic. The King's Row, where neither team could play good defense, so we go again.
That is a classic, an NA special.
Very much so, and looking at this here, I mean, this is one of those King's Row that if it ends at 5-6 with a crazy overtime push, not going to be too surprising. And also, bit of Overwatch lore here. This is an Omnic settlement right now. They're hiding from the humans that are oppressing them in an Iron Foundry. And the dark part of the lore here, you're delivering an EMP directly over them. It's real sad. Real sad.
I didn't know that was the lore, honestly.
Yeah, it's an EMP.
I didn't know anything about that.
It's an EMP that's wiping out the entire settlement.
Well,
King's Row, you've just thought the weather was dark and dreary. Man, just looked like one level deeper.
it's like Y2K.
Yeah. Man, people really got freaked out over that for nothing. There were movies about that.
Well, I mean, that's the equivalent. I mean, your Omnic 1999 Windows PCs were about to be wiped out via EMP. So, by a time change. But
yeah,
we are waiting. The team's getting ready to roll out here. Square one. Running the 3-3 pretty standard here. Envy actually deciding to roll on the Ana Sombra May offense.
And I'm not really a fan of this for this setup, if for nothing else, that Elevote's walls have not been good in this series. They have been pretty much the opposite of good so far, but I guess we're going to play how they practiced.
I mean, right now, a lot of this team setup is going to be based on it. Can Jaru get a hack? If Jaru can get a solid hack, they can look for the anti, they can look for the engage, the wall. There's the wall, trying to split square one, but not a great split.
It's an okay split relative to some of the other parts, but they need to get at least hot date off it. Now they're focusing on Jolf after the hack, but hack is over. Jolf can put back up the shield. Still under heavy pressure, but they're not able to finish him. Meanwhile, Envy does have pressure on the point. As you say, they've gotten one tick, soon to be two. Wall comes up here, splits off Zen for a split second, but again, not high value.
However, because the wall getting split, because that orb not able to get that healing out there, this is actually going to be Envy picking up the point. They have much better health. There's hot date out of mech. Fisher so low, needs to live. Jolf going down, that's that.
Elbow making most on the DPS I've made here, so it's an
also great anti-nades.
Yeah.
Great anti-nades from Crimzo as well, denying a lot of that healing. And this is actually very strong for Envy because they have EMP, they have 3 different win conditions moving into this next fight. All they have to do is they can ensure the EMP, they can put out an EMP Blizz, they put EMP Grab, they can save another 2 for the next fight, they'll have Nano. If they can just get the Transcendence out for square one, especially with that grab advantage they have, they're in a good position to take second at least.
And this is where Square One has put themselves by playing somewhat passive versus Envy there. They gave Envy a lot of initiative, and now you kind of have to pay the price in what might be a very long overtime push.
Looks like Jaru playing up top. No scouting for Square One, and here comes the EMP. It's 6 people.
It's everyone, and Envy, this is the easiest in the world. Fisher gets the nano and goes, this is pretty fun. I can just roll forward, swing the hammer. No one can use their abilities. They can't get away. It is a full, clean sweep for Envy off that setup.
And the best thing for Envy is they had to only invest nano EMP, so they saved actually 2 great AoE ults for the next fight. They have both the grab, they have the blizzard, so they can use one and then the other to ensure support ult is gone. Then we drop our other one, and we still have Shatter.
Envy in a long overtime push right now. Square One needing to find something to stop this. Every bit of progress is just that much more devastating to Square One right now. But now we go to the point B fight. Square one, see how they engage this. Moving forward is Jolf. Sharp holding on to the grab in the back. Elevote, Blizzard is up. The wall can put Jolf a little bit far up, but he willingly kind of splits himself. Now here comes Sharp's grab. They get stuck. The Blizzard coming right in. It's a polar vortex right over Square one right now. But they use the barrier. The power
They've used
staff.
every ult. Envy has used every ult in this fight, and Dove has grab.
It's still, now the grab is in from Square one. They take down 2 members of Envy, and Envy just did not have the punching power to make that work.
Well, they stacked. They stacked support ults for some reason. They threw the Blizz into the grab when they knew Ultraviolet still had Trance. They weren't able to get any value from there. Jaro didn't have the EMP up in time, and because the fight lasted long enough and they used all their game-winning ults, all their fight-winning ults right there, they had nothing to keep them to win the fight from there at all.
Now, that's micromanaging or sort of like micro-analyzing the last fight. Let's go back to a macro level. Envy still had an insane push for the amount of time they had. They could have gotten even more, perhaps, but this is still going to be a tough mountain for Square one to climb, where even if Square one has just an absolutely godly point A attack, this is still very likely to end in overtime, which means that Envy, beyond point A, they're in one fight territory. They just need to look at the long game here and figure out, how do we win one fight in streets? Because that is how they win this map.
Envy looked to be potentially hedging their bets again against the Sombra push from Square one. They're running Jaru on this Ana. They want to play slow. They want to get those anti-nades. They want to get those nanos up very quickly. And also, with the Ana versus the Sombra, your front line is much stronger.
Yeah.
So you can sustain a lot longer than you can. You can actually sort of make a choice even to go fast or slow when there's no D.Va on the enemy team, when there's a Sombra, where their whole win condition for Square one is the EMP. Now, it's still undetermined if Square one actually plays Sombra. Right now, Dev on the Widow, just looking for maybe a quick pick, and they're not. No. They're playing the standard 3-3.
They're going to adapt. They realize that Envy likes coming out on the Ana, so they go, you know what? We're going to have this Ana deal with the D.Va, who's going to be very much interfering with Jaru with defensive matrix.
So Square one should be recognizing that there is an Ana on the field and trying to take a very aggressive fight. They don't want the Nano to be blown up. They can eat a lot of the heals.
Jolf moving in, heavy focus fire on, but more focus fire on the Fisher, just removed. Stepped a little bit too far forward. Square one, man advantage. Big All moving a little bit forward, Sharp out of the fight. And Square one, about as quick of a point A as they could hope for here. And that means Envy, that entire one fight margin, they're going to have to wait a little bit for that now.
And they clearly recognized what I was talking about, where you need to take the fight early, isolate a target, because your Brigida is giving you so much more value on that front line, and your D.Va can lock out a lot of the value Jaro was on Ana. Now Square one taking the first. A little bit ahead in those ults as well, but not a huge margin by any means. Jaro having to swap back to the Brigida. Envy looking to make the next contest.
What do you think about Square one only leaving one on the point here? I feel like more payload pressure would be beneficial to a degree, just to limit the amount of time that Envy has.
Well, it's the classic trade-off of, do we want to take the, like, either way this fight's probably going to go to OT. So having only one on payload just means you can get more fights in, build more ult quickly, and ensure the next fight's better.
Envy being a little bit aggressive here. Fisher again getting isolated. Fisher getting really low. Is Fisher going to be able to get out of it? No! Big All finishes him off. And right off that, Square one again. They don't have to worry about the ride, and Dove can play, melting people down in the back.
And now, most importantly, for Team Envy, Big All uses the rally. However, 5 ults up for Square one. Envy, they don't have their combo just yet, so they can't look for the early engage unless they want to burn those support ults out from Square one very early. Fire only 50% to beat as well.
Envy, they're just low on power here. They do have the upside where it is a one-fight margin. If they take this fight, they win the map. But Square one is so much more powerful right now.
Whoever engages first, sets up this grab combo first, is going to be dictating the pace of the fight. Still not up for Envy. Square one looking to set it up.
Well, we're looking at Sharp, we're looking at Dove. The two Zaryas looking to set the tone here. Of course, a D.Va eating a grab, that'd be the biggest play of all. The payload, almost at its destination. Envy, they have to make sure they're on the payload all the while, and now they're going to move in. Graviton going to connect. Hot Day throwing the self-destruct right to the back. What's it going to grab here? And no, self-destruct doesn't get anything. Meanwhile, for Envy, back the other way. Graviton, self-destruct moving in, takes out Angelic. Envy up one man. And now Jaro able to go a little bit forward. Jaro's going to get the cleanup. And so as they stand the point, this is going to be Envy's, but they do need to make sure they stand the point because that is way too close.
That was very close. Angelic giving his life to drop the beat there. Combo set up. Really, really well done for Square one. They just made sure that they were ready. They had all their, or not for Square one, for Envy. Yeah. Square one, they just weren't able to connect their combo. They set it up first, but they weren't able to get the bomb value. Sharp made sure to save those barriers, made sure that they were still able to survive through the ults. So really well done from Evie for that recontest, despite having a kind of meh first defense.
Yeah, and I mean, look, in the end, that's why we really went over setting the stakes there. Envy, even with a terrible beginning on that defense, because their attack was so good before, it really just came down to they could lose a whole bunch of fights there. They just needed to win one. They didn't make it easy for themselves, given that they went in with less power in terms of ult economy. But because Square One wasn't able to capitalize on their ult combo, it gave Envy the chance to come in, snake that fight, and now Envy in a much better spot here, up 2-0 as we look towards the half.
And that was a great bomb from Elliot as well. Well, there wasn't really a huge amount of setup because they were also caught in their own grabs. So there wasn't any barrier displacement, not a lot of it for Envy. So it was just Elliot dropping the bomb in a great spot, essentially directly on top of Angelic, who had to drop the beat to keep his team alive, but then dies for it because you don't have enough health through that bomb as Lucio. Your health pool's already pretty low. And they were down a man from there, and Envy could just snowball from there.
Yep, and Envy, again, this is a pretty good adaptation coming in from Envy, where, of course, Fisher is not their main tank, where, don't forget, they're not only losing out in the sense that you have to put someone not familiar in main tank in the main tank role, where I think Fisher's done an admirable job so far, but they're also losing on Fisher's depth in other roles that he could be playing right now, so it's a double hit from Envy, but they're persevering right now, and we'll see if they can keep it up as we go into the second half. But, guys, before that, there's a quick break, but we'll be back soon, I promise. Come join us then.